So this episode of my little video history is going to be about the middle station. The middle station is in the middle of the railway, and the idea was that passenger trains could call at the two platforms, and there was also a small freight facility where some shunting activities could take place. As you can see, the first thing we need to do is to tidy up the railway. Now, I've been doing quite a lot of painting of people. I got a large mixed pack on eBay, and I've been slowly colouring in the people, clothes, trousers, faces, hats, etc. Still work in progress. Quite a slow job because you can only do sort of one colour at a time, and you're deciding how many pieces of clothing all want to be turquoise. There's a limit to how many turquoise people you want. So that's been going on, and to do that I have been using a range of the paints. And the paints I've been using are the Vallejo model colours, the acrylic paints. I found these are extremely good, very good coverage, nice bold colours, and that just a small drop goes a long way. And typically I've been using a piece of cardboard or plastic, putting a little drop of paint on, and then using a very small brush to touch up the characters. So I guess we need to clear away the paints, ready to make room for showing you a bit more of how the middle station will work.
The middle station is over the storage sidings or fiddle yard, and was designed to be a through platform for passenger trains with a small shunting facility. It took a little while to lay it out and get the track organised, making sure the geometry worked, working out where the various turnouts would be, and making sure that operations could take place. So having got the track work in place, moved on to getting the wiring done and installing the various point motors. Spent quite a lot of time getting the track laid out on the ballast, which is formed of 6mm cork from B&Q, an awful lot cheaper than many of those model shops. As you can see, a couple of double slips are included, and in order to work out how to control them, wrote the numbers on the board before moving on to wiring them up and constructing a control panel. The control panel consists of centre throw switches and LEDs linked to the DCC Concepts solenoid controllers, which are mounted underneath the board.
So a quick tidy up of all the paints. Good range of blues and greens, and ochres and oranges, and a selection of greys and brick reds. Of course, you have to have somewhere to put them, so they have to go on the shelves, the far side of the shed. So various flesh colours and base colours, yellows, light blues, black, and various other nice colours. So that's our platforms clear. Now to tidy up some of the rest of the stuff. Cables for charging the battery soldering iron, and the battery soldering iron itself, which needs to be put out of the way. Flux to help with soldering, and of course solder. Get rid of those. partly painted people, and then just a little bit more tidying up before we can give you a tour of this middle station, talk a little bit about how it might operate. So let's explore the middle station. The two tracks rising up from the main terminus pass a windmill and enter the middle station, where there are two tracks either side of an island platform. There is also a connection into a freight arrival line which parallels the platforms. At the far end there is a connection out onto the running lines with the ability to leave in the same direction that one has arrived from the terminal, also for trains coming to from the other direction to be switched through the double slip. Small signal box, card kit, Metcalf's I think, in use there to control the junction and the station area before the lines sweep round and over the large bridge round past the canal. So looking at the sidings themselves, we have three small sidings at the right hand end here, which are accessed from the freight arrival line, and there is also a run round ability within the sidings and a head shunt at the far end. A piece of loose track on this side is one which I've used to energise DC, not DCC, locomotives when I bought them, just to give them a little run up and down, make sure they're working before putting in a decoder. And the other piece of track, sort of looking a little bit sorry for itself, needs a little bit more work just to weather it in. That is my programming track connected up to the booster, so that any train that needs its CVs altering can be located on there on the railway. So I have a freight train approaching the middle station, hauled by the 08 shunter, and we're going to set a route for it into the freight arrival line. Okay, so the route is now set, and now we'll see if we can get it to run. Unfortunately, the 08 is not the best of runners, so we may have a little bit of trouble. You may see a hand pushing. Even with a small stay alive in, it's not the best of runners. I need to do some work on the pickups. Anyway, we are in clear of the points at the other end, so we can shunt back a little bit in order to run round the train. To do that, I need to alter the points. Okay, we'll see if it'll now move back a little bit. So once again, we're going to have the hand. That should be far enough to be able to uncouple and run round the loco. So what couplings am I using? Well, I've tried the hook and tension type ones that come standard. They're a bit fiddly, particularly to uncouple, and they don't always give a particularly good look. I did consider KJ or KG, whatever, however it's pronounced. But one of the problems, I've got a lot of vertical curves on the railway, and I was concerned that those horizontal hooks would have a habit of jumping out of each other, particularly on the sharp vertical curves. So I've gone for the Elite magnet style. They're universal, they're not like the early magnet ones, which were one end of the... you had to get the vehicles all the right way round. These ones work either way round, which is useful since on this layout things are reversed quite regularly. So separating so we'll separate the train. Now, one thing I have found is that getting the track clean is a right pain. I've looked at track rubbers, but they take off the surface. I think it was on a YouTube video or on a chat, saying a piece of wood is actually very good. And I've actually found that rubbing that along the rails is quite an effective way of taking off the surface muck without actually damaging the surface of the rail and leaving a small film of I guess the resin out of the wood on the surface, which seems to protect it. And I'd just done this bit just before we ran that train in with the wood. As you saw, actually most of the way through it ran quite smoothly, and I hadn't used that bit of track for perhaps 3 or 4 months. So let's alter the points, and we'll then get the shunter round to the other end of the train. At which point one goes, the points haven't moved. I think we have a little bit of marking the points I need to just look at, but we'll move them across. Just try that again. So they go one way okay, but not the other. So I think that's going to be a little bit of attention needed. Anyway, let's run the 08 around. So I'm now going to use the shunter to take the brake van off and run it back to the far end of the railway. So I need to just switch the points. Yep, they seem to be ready. So let's go back and collect the brake van. Having got the brake van connected to the shunter, we're going to put the brake van down at the far end in the head shunt, ready for when we form the train to go back the way it's come. Okay, so we're now going to run the shunter and the brake van into the siding and then back round through the run round line. stopped in the siding, we can now switch the points. Trying to get them right this time. Okay, we've got them all the way through. So hopefully now we can go right the way back to the other end. And if our wood cleaning of the track has worked, we should get a clear run through. Now we can uncouple the brake van and route the 08 shunter onto the freight train ready to do some shunting. So we're now ready for the 08 shunter to shunt some of the wagons into the sidings at the far end, and it's just a matter of deciding which wagons are going where. So I think we will put one of the vans in the middle and 2 or 3 of the open wagons in the nearest siding. So I'll set the points. It does help if you make sure the wagons aren't on the points when you try and change them. Oh. So let's shunt the first of the open wagons into the nearest siding. If we can get it to run. Oops. So I think we're now ready to shunt the train. What are we going to do with it? Well, I think we will put a couple of the open wagons into this first siding and put the van in the middle there. So to start the process, I need to set the points. 1, 2, and that one should give me a road now all the way through into there. So let's see if we can get the train to move. I think it's stalled there, but we can uncouple the first of the open wagons. Leave that in that siding, and we can now move the train back to put the van into the next siding. Just need a little touch. On, back you go. As soon as it moves far enough, I can switch the points and we can reverse the direction. Put the van into the middle siding. Obviously a little bit of track cleaning needed through this set of points. Whoops. Crunch. One of the things I haven't done is weighted the wagons yet. I need to do that. A little bit light and spirited on the track. So now we can put the open wagon to the other siding. Go on, off you go. Definitely needs a bit of cleaning through that set of points. So since it's a problem area, let's give it a little go now. Block of wood. Okay, hopefully that'll make it a little bit better. Let's just separate the wagons. And we can now pull out into the run round loop. We'll see how this one goes through the points. Oops. As I said, one of the problems is the wagons haven't been weighted, they're a little bit light, any slight imperfection and they are jumping off the track. So another try. Now the train stopped in the loop, let's run it round, we'll run round, push back onto the brake van and then ready to depart. Slight problem with the magnetic couplings is they do like to attract each other. So this is the set of points that doesn't seem to want to switch. I'll need to do some work on it. Oh, it's gone that time. Just check I've set the road. Okay, so the O8 should now be able to go to the back of the signal box at the other end. If it's in the mood. And now we can switch it on to the train. Okay. Hopefully now we'll be able to pick up the wagons and then back onto the brake van, ready to depart. So a bit of track cleaning seems to have worked. But obviously a little bit needed there. And now with the brake van we get ready to depart. And now we need to wait for a route out onto the main line. Hopefully switch the points right. All the live frogs, if we hear a little beep, well now I've got it wrong. Okay, so off we go. And there's our freight train off on its journey.
A Christmas present arrived a little bit late, and it was a kit for a footbridge to go across the tracks from the island platform to where the station building would be. It was a laser cut wood kit, and it went together quite well. And of course it needed somewhere to land, so I started making a platform to be partly a cattle dock or luggage goods loading facility, and also somewhere for the footbridge to come down. Of course, footbridge just landing on a platform isn't any use, so I needed to think about building a station building. Having surfaced the platform, I was still wondering what sort of building to build, where would I get a kit, or would I scratch build, and in the end I decided I would scratch build it using cardboard and brick paper. And the little building coming together with the various openings, the floor ready to go in, windows ready to be glazed, and whilst there isn't a sort of pedestrian exit at the other side of the station, I sort of imagine that the solid wall would have had doors and things in it. So the footbridge will lead down and straight into the wide door, and now with the roof on and doors fitted, windows glazed, the building is now stuck in place and drying.